Your first technique is usually whatever knight you landed on, which that technique could be a heel hook, it could be a kimura, it could be a close guard, it could be a back take. Great. What am I supposed to do with this? But I feel this kind of creates that initial, right, if you can just do this, you're going to be useful in the class. And that is the mat return. I'm specifically not using the term takedown here. I find, especially in jiu-jitsu, this can be one of the most intimidating parts, is that people don't want to get up. They think they're just going to get thrown in the air. And that is true. But also that engagement where you're doing a takedown, like throwing your face at full speed when you first start towards someone's hips, is pretty terrifying. Like you're going to get kicked in the face, etc., etc. I feel this is an easier way of learning how to put someone back on the floor. And it gives you a lot more experience in doing it, because when we do an average night of sparring, for example, you may start from standing a couple of times if you're lucky. It means you might get one takedown in there, and then you just spend the rest of the round on the ground. And how are you supposed to get comfortable with takedowns in a live scenario if you get one per night? It's not going to work. I feel this is a little bit easier. So it's the mat return. So if I run into go to toe, and this is the complexity of the drill is the person on the floor here is going to be the video game. Person Irene's state is going to be the player. So she's going to be the one learning in this drill. The complexity is going to be that I just want Ryan to get to his feet. And Irene's going to make connection to his legs and hips and put him back on the floor, essentially. As he gets up, he gets put back down. And whichever direction he lands in, he's going to get up from that direction, so it's going to change her angle on his body. And she then has, from that new angle, has to figure out how she's going to put him back on the ground again. As she's learning, as she's the player, the intensity is going to start basic. So he's not going to be too resisting in like how he's going to go back to the ground. But then the intensity is going to be increased from his ability to maintain his balance. So the more he kind of, I don't want him to fight back necessarily, just say that's a different complexity. He's just going to try and keep his balance, and she's going to have to figure out how she's going to mat return him over and over again. This isn't like a 5-minute drill. This is one of those things you layer day in, day out. And the symbiotic relationship from this is that as she gets better at taking someone into the ground, Ryan's going to get better at keeping his balance. And so then eventually when someone then tries to take him down in the future, he's going to be a lot harder to put in the ground. So it means that there's a growth for both people. So as she makes connection to his hips here, I don't want her to load up towards his neck and shoulders. That's our health and safety here, and we'll talk about that afterwards. So as he gets up, she maintains connection to his hips. And as he gets to his feet, she then figures out how she's going to put him back on the floor. So she's going to have to try and take him off his base, etc. And now as he gets to the ground, she's going to change her angle around him. So go around the front, for example. She's now going to get up. He's going to get up again. And from that new angle, she's going to have to figure out how she's going to put him back down. And we just keep doing that. And we can change how high he gets. So if he gets all the way to his feet, she now from here has to figure out, right, keeping weight on his legs, how she's going to put him back into the floor. And we just build that intensity over and over again. So eventually we have someone who is capable of takedowns that hasn't learned to take down. And we have someone who's very, very good at balance against people who are trying to take him down. So once someone's got used to that drill, we can then start to incorporate other bits of information that's going to help with them putting someone back in the ground again. And the first part of this is understanding how balance works in the first place. And we're going to look at the idea of a camera tripod. So if I make a tripod here and put the camera in the middle of my back, as soon as the weight of the camera leaves the shadow of the tripod, so if we make that a solid structure and we have a solid shadow on the ground, so a triangle, as soon as the weight of the camera leaves its shadow, it starts to fall over. And that's what we're trying to essentially happen here, is that at all times we are creating a shadow on the ground. And if we can then push someone's weight over that shadow, so right now I have my shadow here, my base. As soon as my weight leaves my shadow, I start to fall over. I have to extend how much my shadow is to try and keep my weight inside it. And anytime you've ever been swept, thrown, or any of those things, or unbalanced, is because someone pushed your weight over your shadow. And we can then incorporate that idea into these takedowns. And so that's an easy one to explain on the ground. So we'll look at that in one of the further sections about unbalancing someone. But when we're upright, we only have 2 sections of the tripod. So if I create a bridge shape here, is that my weight is right in the middle of my middle back, my ass, and it's miles away from my feet and my hands. So for me to be able to be thrown over here, you'd have to take my weight all the way to the top and try and push me over, and that's not really going to happen. But my weight is super close to the sides of my shadow. So if I get pushed sideways, I fall. And that's how we can add some extra information on how we want to take someone down when they're doing that get up drill. So if Ryan goes back into turtle here, as he's getting up, as he gets to his feet, I can then look at where his shadow is. So between his legs, essentially, and think, I just need to put his weight over his shadow. If I try and push him sideways, you can see that's like a tripod leg. I'm going to have to try and block it, take his weight further out, and try and push him over it. I can shorten his shadow by pulling his legs closer, making that shadow smaller. Or I can just measure this angle here and just push him backwards over his shadow. And then create that takedown. You can give that information to someone, you can use that information yourself, and just take that kind of time to be looking at, right, where's their shadow, where's their weight, how can I pull their weight over their shadow? It could be forwards, it could be backwards, it could be closing up the shadow so it's smaller. You think a wide tripod isn't going to fall over as much as a really shallow tripod. And so if I can make that a lot shorter, that shadow shorter, the weight's going to be much closer to those edges, and I can push him over the side. We then have to look at the health and safety aspects. That's why, again, I want to make sure that I'm not grabbing the head as much. If you think, again, I don't want to necessarily be loading up onto his neck and shoulders. I'm not